been tracking Bitcoin charts for over 6 years on this YouTube channel. The move that you see here on this screen is something that has never happened before in terms of the story of the Bitcoin cycles, the halvings, the 4-year cycles that we see in crypto. This move on the daily chart has never happened. I want to do a quick live stream to break down the move and what is going on right now. Bitcoin breaking into the bull market doors, not breaking through. We're not there yet, but breaking into the bull market doors. And I also want to break down some ADA charts, Ethereum charts, zoomed out and zoomed in, as well as AVAX zoomed in, and talk about what the Bitcoin move might mean for altcoins as well. So please, everybody, if you're out there, hit the subscribe, hit the like. Let's jump into the video. I appreciate you cruising through. And really, truly, if you're in the live stream, smash that like button for me right now. Share the video if you're on X, wherever you are. And let's just jump into it. So this is the move, right? The daily candle. I did a video last night kind of talking about this general area, the 618 line on Bitcoin, the caution that might be needed in this environment. And I talked about the next 24 hours. This was last night, the next 24 hours, meaning this daily candle that's in formation right now, being extremely important and something that I'm keeping a close eye on. It's partly what I want to talk about in this video. So right now, 7 hours, just around 7 hours left of the daily candle. And might do another video tonight, kind of updating where we are in terms of the daily candle. But before we even dive into any of these charts, this could be why things are just different this time. Bitcoin ETF inflows are accelerating 541.5 million on Friday. Look at this. Look at the Bitcoin ETF inflows. The 9 new Bitcoin ETFs have accumulated 218,000 Bitcoin in just a month. 218,000 Bitcoin. So before we dive into all these charts, let's put that into perspective. Quick interview. I was just kind of watching a clip. Check this out.
Right? Wall Street doesn't just like Bitcoin, they love Bitcoin. If you think of these assets, there's been over 5,500 ETF launches in history. Never have we had a fund get to $3 billion in AUM in the first 30 days. BlackRock and Fidelity both just did it. So 2 for the first time in history. And then
So these Bitcoin ETFs they're kind of making history in terms of the ETF world in general, but check this out.
You look at Bitwise and 21 Shares, ARK, they're both gonna hit $1 billion this year, or this week. And so now you have 4 funds that are going to hit $1 billion of inflows. But the most interesting part of this is the inflows. These funds are doing $500 million a day of net inflows. But there's only 900 Bitcoin that is actually coming into the daily incoming supply. And so when you look at that.
So I just kind of messed up that screen. But what he's saying here is Wall Street ETFs are buying 12.5 more Bitcoin. 12.5 times more Bitcoin per day than the network can produce. Every cycle, and as I've been, tracking, and by the way, this is a 24-hour-old chart that we have on the screen. That's why it says 48,300 right now. But every cycle, we've been tracking just the cycles of Bitcoin. There's always been this whole supply shock thing, right, surrounding the halvings alone in general. And that's something we've always talked about over the years. But right now, the supply shock is becoming even more real with institutional investors coming on board. This is a first for Bitcoin. So when we start really talking about what's occurring here, and this is Bitcoin, doing something it's never done, that could have a ton to do with it. So I just wanted to point that out. Now going over here to the Bitcoin charts, 49,500 as I do this video. Let's point something out. This is something I really just noticed, and that is to say, if you just look at the general area, $49,000, $50,000, last time Bitcoin was really trading in this area, it was consolidating, and it was consolidating at resistance at the start of the bear market. So this is how far we've come. If you're out there and you've been here throughout the entirety of this previous bear market and this entire cycle, if you hung in there, and you remember even being at all-time high and falling down to 50,000 and then falling below as we see resistance in this area, right? If you were there, congrats, because we just made it through the bear market, the exit of the bear market. And right now, we're not even at Bitcoin halving, and Bitcoin is back at that price level at the beginning of a bull market now. So those are the things that I like to kind of set into perspective. So smash the like button, everybody. If you're out there and you were here during the move down and through 50, and you're here right now as we approach 50. Now, we're obviously talking about the bullishness of Bitcoin right now, but I just want to say there's in play, especially this week, the case of resistance, because we're at a huge resistance area. Sometimes I try not to repeat myself so much with the bull market doors and the lower high Fibonacci, but I know there's new people out there that come into these videos all the time and they don't really understand what the Fibonacci is. But right now on the zoomed in, it's such a critical area. Bull market high to bear market low. We zoom in. This is where Bitcoin is testing. And once again, this chart right here is a 24-hour old chart. So Bitcoin is actually within the green area. And that's what it is. The bull market doors, it's a 786 area at around 57,000, 618 around $48,000. Now, the reason why this is a first, this is historic moment. We go to the last cycle. Was Bitcoin breaking into the bull market doors prior to the halving? No, it wasn't. It waited till after to start breaking through. You go to the previous cycle before that, all the way back here in 2016. Was Bitcoin breaking in and closing candles within, above the 618 area? No, it wasn't. It waited till after the Bitcoin halving, which is right here, and then we broke into it. You go back to the cycle before that. Bitcoin didn't even touch the 618 prior to the halving. It broke the bull market doors after the halving. So something I continuously repeat, but I'm going to continue tracking the story of the bull market doors because it's the most crucial piece of zoomed out data. And we start zooming in, this is what it looks like truly on the real time weekly. So Bitcoin right now within those bull market doors. Now, the caution that I always have caution, right? Especially when we have resistance in this general area, cycles past prior to the halving. It's just right now, how will this weekly candle close? What happens this week? Does the momentum of the Bitcoin ETF narrative continue to push Bitcoin higher? And maybe not even just the narrative. Maybe it's just this very simple demand, the supply shock. And is that what's causing it to be different this time? It's the biggest thing I'll be watching. Obviously, I'm still continuing to watch around 7 hours left of this Bitcoin daily candle. I'm very curious to see if Bitcoin can close a daily candle above the 618 line. And you can just see it, right? This bottom area, this red line. I want to see if Bitcoin closes. I would absolutely love, as always is the case, to see Bitcoin get separation away from that area instead of just closing just above it or right around it. I want to see Bitcoin get separation. Is $50,000 kind of this mental barrier as Bitcoin's trying to get the separation? Could be, but that's what I'm watching for Bitcoin on the zoomed in daily. I wanted to just point something out to you. I don't know if you've watched my videos in weeks past, but we've been kind of talking about just all of the consolidation that's been taking place here, right? And what I'm talking about is kind of just this general consolidation into the bull market doors. And I was watching the speculative setup, right? Before this was even really happening, of an ascending triangle going into Bitcoin halving. And just for what it's worth, the Bitcoin halving is kind of right around here. And you can see this, and this is why I'm really curious about the current daily candle. If there's resistance and Bitcoin just starts falling now, we could be in an ascending triangle going into Bitcoin halving, which could be an absolute bullish setup for the explosive move for Bitcoin. I mean, a breakout target out of that area is what, $67,000, close to $70,000 for Bitcoin. So again, if there's resistance here at this general area, let's see what happens with consolidation if Bitcoin starts falling and we're in the lower 40s again. But there's an ascending triangle, I think, really coming into play if there is resistance at the bull market doors. Other than that, in terms of targets to the upside right now, I'm just hanging out, everybody, and I'm just watching to see if Bitcoin can just get that separation, just start kind of doing some short-term price discovery. And that's my biggest thing that I'm watching on Bitcoin right now. So going over to ADA, I want to talk about some altcoins right now. We're going to talk about ADA, Ethereum, AVAX. Very simple. And I put it in the title. What's happening with Bitcoin right now, it could truly just trigger what happens next for altcoins. And it could be sooner than later. So we're talking about Bitcoin potentially breaking through or into the bull market doors even more than it is above 50,000. If this is the case, and I mentioned this in a video last night, altcoins likely to follow. But that doesn't mean altcoins, while Bitcoin's making the move, will be doing the same thing. And we're already seeing that right now. But that's the most normal thing that could happen. Oftentimes, especially at macro, multi-cycle events, Bitcoin moves first. Altcoins just hang out. Bitcoin dominance, you might see a little bit of strength. Altcoins hang out. This is what happened last time. I noted this on last night's video talking about this Cardano. Last cycle, Bitcoin was breaking the bull market doors right around here, and it was rising while ADA was just sideways on this weekly. Look at these weekly candles, sideways. And at that moment, Bitcoin was breaking the bull market doors, a very similar move that could potentially be happening now. So I wouldn't be surprised if I see ADA just sideways. If we go to something like Ethereum, very similar story. If we go back to the last cycle when Bitcoin was breaking the bull market doors, if I can find it, it was November 2020, the end of October 2020. You can see Ethereum just starting to get some legs right there, right? So nothing crazy in terms of Ethereum starting to take off. But what happened next? Ethereum took off. What happened next with ADA? ADA took off, right? Shortly after, Bitcoin broke those bull market doors. Something like AVAX, we don't have that history. We really don't have a lot of history on AVAX charts, something like Solana charts. But in terms of all of these cryptos, right now we have all of this consolidation happening on the short term with these similar setups in terms of Bitcoin on the 4-hour that we recently saw on Bitcoin on the 4-hour. So, and what I mean by that is if we go to Bitcoin and we look at a 4-hour chart real quick, and by the way, if you're out there in this live stream, thanks for cruising through. Smash the subscribe if you're not a subscriber, and hit that like button for me, just so that I know that you find this content valuable. So what I mean by the 4-hour chart consolidation on those altcoins, it's this. We're kind of still just doing what Bitcoin was doing before it had its breakout, right? So I've been talking about this a lot. I don't mean to repeat myself, but again, if Bitcoin continues this upward momentum, I'll be watching for things like ADA, and you can see ADA still in its 4-hour consolidation right here. Breakout target to the upside around 65 cents for ADA. For AVAX, very similar, around $48. And then if we go back to the Ethereum charts, and I zoom over, this is a weekly, you can just see Ethereum looking very strong on the weekly, but if we change it to a 4-hour, still waiting for just kind of a breakout out of the range that it's been in on the 4-hour. Going back real quick to Ethereum on the weekly, I want to make a note of this. This is probably the biggest thing I wanted to talk about in terms of some of these altcoins. If we look at the RSI on Ethereum, if we look at the RSI on ADA, check it out. Look at last cycle at this moment, right? ADA making this move into Shelly hard fork, coming back down and consolidating, making this move right now, consolidating, very similar type of vibe. When it consolidated back here, prior to the bull market doors being broken and ADA entering the bull, it just fell on the RSI, and then it finally bounced. And what we've been waiting for on the RSI for ADA has been just when will the consolidation on the weekly RSI just bounce? And you can just see it's bounced higher right now, right around 60. Last cycle, it was bouncing in this very similar move around 50. So you can just see there's a shift of momentum happening with ADA, and this could be kind of the sign of a shift of momentum for altcoins in general, because Ethereum doing something very similar. Again, going back to when Ethereum was getting ready to enter the parabolic bull because Bitcoin broke its bull market doors, November 2020, when it had this moment of consolidation right here, you can just see Ethereum consolidating, bouncing right off around 58. Check it out right now. Bouncing right off around the same exact level on the RSI and this is all as pending, Bitcoin gets ready to break these bull market doors. So a lot of this has to do with, can Bitcoin drum up the strength to make this happen? A lot of it has to do with, if this happens, if Bitcoin starts breaking into this area and above, and I don't know, I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen. I have no idea. All I know is the move that's happening right now, you see it on the weekly, Bitcoin's within this Fibonacci retracement, has never happened. Has never happened before the Bitcoin halving. And it's happening right now before the Bitcoin halving. I have no idea if this move will continue. I have no idea how this weekly candle will close. All I'm saying, and it's really a big point of the video, all I'm saying is if Bitcoin continues this move to the upside, I think it will obviously be a historic moment for Bitcoin. Obviously be a sign, I think, of the supply shock that's happening now and that is to come in this bull cycle. But it will be a monumental move for altcoins. And though altcoins might lag just a little bit in terms of a powerful move to the upside, I think altcoins will absolutely go crazy. Altcoins will absolutely explode. And that's all I'm saying. So I'm just checking out some comments, seeing how y'all are feeling out there. Appreciate you cruising through, everybody. Don't do live streams a lot, but obviously when we're hanging out in bull market territory, bull doors territory, I'm going to be doing live streams more often. So I'm going to try and keep them short too, as this one is around 15 minutes. I'll put the timestamps for any replay viewers, but that's what I'm watching on Bitcoin today. It truly is. I'm so curious how, this is a 4-hour. Let me change it over here. And let's actually, 4-hour, maybe some consolidation and then continued upside. That's what I want to see. But I'm very curious to see how the daily candle closes in terms of the bull market doors. Are we below? Are we above? How much separation is there from really, truly this red line that you see here? Can we close the daily candle above or below? That's a key thing. To the downside, everybody, it's possible. We get a weak close. Bitcoin falls 2% in the next 7 hours. And we're seeing a massive wick of resistance at the bull market doors. This is just what I'm watching on the short term. That's it. So I appreciate all of you. I really do. Hanging out. I hope you're doing well. We'll continue watching Bitcoin and altcoins in the short term and maybe do an update video a little bit later today. So make sure you're a subscriber, turn notifications on, be notified when I'm doing live streams or just posting video, Bitcoin updates, altcoin updates, crypto news, all that good stuff. There's so much happening right now, everybody. So a lot to track in the coming days, weeks, months, and obviously the parabolic bull that I think is getting ready to hit. So I'll see you all in the next video. God bless.